Welcome to Prayer and Bible Band, Lesson 11. I do not own the rights to this music. The topic is Fast and Pray. The background reading is coming out of 1 Kings chapter 17, verses 20 through 21, Matthew chapter 12, verses 43 to 45, and Mark chapter 9, verses 25 to 29. The devotional reading is coming out of Acts chapter 27, verses 21 to 25. Our central verse says, "Howbeit this kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting." And that's Matthew chapter 17, verse 21. Our lesson scripture, 1 Kings chapter 17, verses 20 to 21. And he cried unto the Lord, and said, O Lord my God, hast thou also brought evil upon the widow with whom I sojourn, by slaying her son? And he stretched himself upon the child 3 times, and cried unto the Lord, and said, O Lord my God, I pray thee, let this child's soul come into him again. Matthew chapter 12, verses 43 to 45. When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. Then he saith, I will return into my house from whence I came out. And when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept and garnished. Then goeth he, and taketh with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation. Mark chapter 9, verses 25 through 29. When Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him, and enter no more into him. And the spirit cried and rent him sore, and came out of him, and he was as one dead, insomuch that many said, He is dead. But Jesus took him by the hand, and lifted him up, and he arose. And when he was come into the house, his disciples asked him privately, Why could not we cast him out? And he said unto them, This kind can come forth by nothing but by prayer and fasting. Acts chapter 27, verses 21 through 25. But after long abstinence, Paul stood forth in the midst of them, and said, Sirs, ye should have hearkened unto me, and not have loosed from Crete, and to have gained this harm and loss. And now I exhort you to be of good cheer, for there shall be no loss of any man's life among you, but of the ship. For there stood by me this night the angel of God, whose I am, and whom I serve, saying, Fear not, Paul, thou must be brought before Caesar. And lo, God hath given thee all them that sail with thee. Wherefore, sirs, be of good cheer, for I believe God, that it shall be even as it was told me. When you get hit with a storm that literally rocks your world, you can have the wind knocked out of you. You can be thrown for a loop. You can be disoriented to the point that you don't know what to think, say, or do. What do you do in that case? Learn another lesson from the Apostle Paul. Pray and fast. The key word in the lesson text is abstinence. Paul abstained from food and probably drink, but he probably went a step further and abstained from talk. He abstained from talking to people, that is, and he went and talked to God. This is what you have to do. Resist the temptation to go running to this person and that person. Everybody does not need to know your business. Some saints just talk too much. They need to learn to be quiet. They need to learn how to go to God and talk to Him. This does not mean that you should never seek counseling. In the multitude of counselors, there is safety. And that's Proverbs 11, verse 14. But sometimes you need to let the Lord be your counselor. Sometimes you need to abstain from talking to people and have a little talk with Jesus. One songwriter said, "Now let us have a little talk with Jesus. Let us tell him all about your troubles. He will hear our faintest cry. He will answer by and by." Oftentimes, the people you talk to have very little power to do anything about your situation. They didn't put you in the storm, and they can't get you out of the storm. So what good does it do to talk to them? Praying and fasting is not futile. It helps you to be cool, calm, and collected in the midst of a storm. It enables you to keep a cool head while everyone else is losing theirs. It empowers you to hold your peace and be still. It disciplines you to shut your mouth and let the Lord do all the talking. In the process, you learn how to chill out and let the Lord work everything out. Romans chapter 8, verse 28 is still in the Bible, and it still says that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. If you believe that, act like it. If you believe that, stop running around like a chicken with its head cut off. If you really believe that God is working things together for your good, then there is no need to fret. There is no need to panic. Trust that God is going to help you to navigate this storm, whether the storm stops or not. You may think the storm has to stop for you to survive it, but that is not true. God can bless you in the midst of the storm. If he does not deliver you from it, he can keep you in it. He can see you successfully through it. As a matter of fact, God would not bring you to it if he couldn't bring you through it. Mark chapter 4, verses 35 to 41. And the same day, when the even was come, he saith unto them, Let us pass over unto the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship. And there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. And they awake him, and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he arose and rebuked the wind, and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? And they feared exceedingly, and said one to another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? When the disciples were in their storm, Jesus was on board. They had enough sense to go to him. They didn't have a board meeting to discuss the matter. Their lives were on the line. So they went to Jesus and asked if he cared that they were perishing. They asked the wrong question, but at least they were talking to the right person. Jesus was the one person on board who could do something about their situation. Of course, he did do something about it, and he will do something about your stormy situation. Now, he might not do what you want him to do. You may want him to rebuke the storm. You might want him to stop the storm or make the storm go away. He can do that. But that's not what he did for Paul. In Paul's case, he let the storm run its course. This is what might happen with you. The Lord might let the storm run its course. The Lord might not speak to the storm and say, Peace, be still. He might speak to you and tell you to be at peace. He might tell you to be still. He might let the storm run its course while you learn to be at rest in the midst of it all. The questions for today's lesson. Question 1. Do you think that prayer and fasting has become old-fashioned? Do the saints today pray and fast like the saints did in the past? Question 2. What do you think about abstinence from talking? Do you think this would be a good idea? Would it be a good idea to go on a fast from conversation while you are on a fast from food? Question 3. What do you know about the power of fasting? What has it done for you? And what difference has it made in your life? Read Mark chapter 4, verses 35 to 41 again. It was nice that the disciples went to Jesus and talked to him, but based on his response to them, do you get the idea that they should have spoken to the storm? And question 5, what do you think about this whole notion of you being at peace in the midst of storms? Is this possible? If so, what good will it do? The essential thought says, fasting from talking too much is a good way to discipline oneself. Notable scriptures for today's lesson. Isaiah chapter 43, verses 1 and 2. But now thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel. Fear not, for I have redeemed thee. I have called thee by thy name. Thou art mine. When thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. Selah. There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. The heathen raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Come behold the works of the Lord, what desolations he hath made in the earth. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow, and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Luke chapter 10, verse 19. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 11. And that ye study to be quiet, and to do your own business, and to work with your own hands, as we commanded you. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, beginning at verse 6. For God, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, have shined in our hearts, to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. But we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of God and not of us. We are troubled on every side, yet not distressed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not forsaken. Cast down, but not destroyed. Always bearing about in the body the dying of the Lord Jesus, that the life also of Jesus might be made manifest in our body. For we which live are always delivered unto death, for Jesus' sake, that the life also of Jesus might be made manifest in our mortal flesh. Isaiah chapter 54, verses 16 and 17. Behold, I have created the smith, that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord. The end. God bless you, and thank you for joining me today.